When everybody almost forgot about Nicolas Cage, who used to be a good actor but then decided that buying expensive stuff and rare animals is much more interesting, he suddenly came back for a movie called Renfield. And this genius idea of the marketing department to bring back a forgotten actor didn't go as expected, and having a budget of $65 million, the movie got only $27 million.
You know that means you suck.
And the reason is that in this universe, we can see the lamest version of Dracula ever, who is an immortal and powerful being, but instead of making his own army of vampires, just like all the cool kids do, and taking over the world hundreds of years ago, he lives like an old man, and has only one assistant, Renfield, who has to eat insects to maintain his powers. And once upon a time, the priest found Dracula's house, apparently thinking that he has some young boys there, and freely got into the house, because Dracula didn't hire any security. And the most dangerous vampire gets trapped like a mouse, because his eyesight is -12, and he didn't notice a giant circle right in front of his eyes. And he would have been defeated if it wasn't for Renfield, who breaks the circle with a slipper, and Dracula turns the priest into a bloody firecracker.
That's gonna be a closed casket.
And after that, the vampire, who can move very fast, as we will see later, doesn't immediately kill the last vampire hunter, and he manages to tear the curtain down. Because for some reason, Dracula has windows in his house, barely covered with curtains, and not painted over or blocked with something better. And yet, the last vampire hunter turns into a barbecue, but together with Dracula.
You okay? No.
And instead of learning from his own mistakes and getting a vampire security team, Dracula decided to keep traveling and live in abandoned buildings, hiding from the hunters. And even nowadays, the most powerful being in the world still lives in a shithole, without electricity, water or the internet, when he could have told Renfield to kill a few rich people and buy a nice house. But instead, he only complains that Renfield brings people whose blood is not tasty enough.
I don't ask for much, Renfield. You're just the blood of a few dozen innocent people. I want happy couples, unsuspecting terrorists.
So of course, Renfield doesn't want to work for an old barely alive guy, change his adult diapers 5 times a day, and collect his own guts from the floor every time Dracula isn't happy.
His blood has the power to heal the injured. There's not even a copay.
So he decided to attend the meetings of a losers club, and at one of those meetings, he heard a story from a woman who is upset that her boyfriend is not a fan of Cardi B like herself.
I know this is like way down the list of bad stuff, but he's also really into ska.
The kind of music.
Yes.
Someone should teach that motherfucker a lesson.
And Renfield, instead of grabbing a random person from the street, decided to go and find specifically that woman's boyfriend, knowing that Dracula wants only someone from Baywatch.
Buff little cheerleaders would get me back to full power.
Do you mean female cheerleaders?
And somehow, having tracked the house of the Cardi B hater, where he is packaging Colombian salt, Renfield began making the guys have a nap. But exactly at this moment, Teddy, the son of the main mafia woman, came to kill those guys too, and he brought an assassin who likes McDonald's and knives. But Renfield, after having a crunchy snack, plays baseball with the assassin's head. And later, he brings all of the guys to Dracula, who again decided to make a C-section for Renfield. And only after that, Renfield finally decided to go and find some cheerleaders. But he gets interrupted by the police officer Rebecca, who wants to put Teddy behind bars, and even arrested him last night for drug possession. But he slipped out of the station faster than a Taco Bell slips out of a person with a weak stomach.
Guess what? Fuck you! Fuck you and you!
And Teddy even came to the bar personally to kill Rebecca. And while she was taking him on a dare...
Shoot me.
What?
You heard me, asshole. Shoot me.
Renfield suddenly decided to be a hero and to blow his vampire cover, so he eats a fly and begins to decrease the crime rate of the city in a very creative way.
Did I watch you cut a guy's arms off with a decorative serving platter?
Oh, yeah, that was adrenaline.
He's lucky that one half of the bad guys cannot shoot straight and the other half don't shoot at all, using Teddy's technique.
Think I need guns to fuck you up?
And when it comes to the main bad guy, who can cause a lot of problems in future, Renfield only tickles him with a fork and lets him walk away. And after the fight, instead of leaving, he decided to stay and have a chat with a police officer, when he definitely got a few charges here.
Committed 10 felonies.
But Rebecca, being a real professional, says this.
You saved my life. You saved all our lives.
And lets him go away, because she forgot that he's the main witness and has to stay and give a statement. And Rebecca detained everybody else, except for the guy who killed a bunch of gangsters.
How the fuck did you get this job?
Meanwhile, Dracula was watching the first Avengers movie, and he got inspired by Loki.
You crave subjugation.
and he finally came up with a world domination plan, when he should have thought about that hundreds of years ago.
But look at me, lurking in the shadows and feels like some kind of a diseased animal. You said it yourself. I deserve better. Longing for a powerful force to guide it, control it.
But Renfield doesn't want to play by the rules of his boss anymore, because now he has friends.
For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't alone. My boss, he's pretty delusional, I think. He thinks he can take over the world.
You can take all that energy you've spent on him and put it toward yourself.
And since he doesn't want Dracula to turn the world into his own buffet, he takes a vacation to live a normal life, without letting his boss know. He rents an apartment and begins to wait when Dracula will come looking for him, because obviously a vampire that cannot even make his dinner by himself won't let his servant walk away.
What the hell were you thinking?
And besides problems with Dracula, Renfield now has problems with Mafia as well, because Teddy got a bit angry for being stabbed with a fork, so he found out that Renfield often goes to the abandoned hospital.
His last known location is at the old charity hospital.
You have until the end of the day to find him and kill him.
And later the same evening, a company of idiots show up to the Dracula's house and quickly turn into dead men. And having realized that this guy is probably the main idiot, Dracula lets him talk, and Teddy tells him that he is looking for Renfield.
You were sent by the church.
Church? No. What are you talking about? I'm a criminal. My whole organization is about evil. I'm trying to find this guy. He stuck his nose in our family business and killed some of our guys trying to save a bunch of innocent people.
And Dracula got so butthurt that he forgot to kill Teddy and left him alive. Then he goes to Renfield and asks him why he quit it without a 2 weeks notice. And since Renfield didn't watch Underworld and doesn't know about the existence of UV bullets, he tries to defend himself with a book, which gives away the location of the Losers Club.
Put these ideas in your head.
And Dracula, after coming to the book club, shows everyone that he should have been cast as Superman. By the way, back in the 90s, Nicolas Cage was considering a role of Superman, and even was trying the costume on. But at least in The Flash, we can finally see him on the big screen for a few moments. So in a blink of an eye, Dracula kills all of the losers, but he kept Renfield alive, when his servant knows everything about him and can easily spoil his plans. After hundreds of years, Dracula still doesn't know that a good enemy is a dead one.
All the mushrooms in the world wouldn't make anyone that stupid.
So Dracula leaves to build his own empire, and offers Teddy to make a team of humans with vampire powers.
Can the family raise me, soldiers?
I can make a couple calls, yeah.
Meanwhile, Rebecca finds Renfield and arrests him, and for some reason he gives up. Apparently, he wants to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Ever have a 12-inch black dick in your ass?
Oh, yeah.
And after that, Teddy's mother shows up with the entire corrupt police department and wants to take Renfield to find out where her son is.
This is not about you. It's about him. I need to find out what happened to Teddy.
And Rebecca's boss even offers her a promotion.
There's a big arrest you made. I want to offer you a full promotion. Better hours, better pay, better parking space.
And when 1000% of people would have said
Yes!
Rebecca decides to test her luck and check if she alone can escape from the entire police department, and the cops begin shooting the person that they need alive. And only after hitting Rebecca's arm, the corrupt cops leave because their shift is over and it's time to go home.
I thought you were professionals.
Meanwhile, Renfield brings unconscious Rebecca to his apartment, because he's stupid enough to think that the police won't be able to trace Rebecca's car. But then Renfield does something that is
beyond fucked up.
He tells Rebecca that he's Dracula's servant and hunts people for him.
I work for Dracula.
You had to up your big mouth.
You're just a guy that kills random people.
And the next morning, when the cops had a good rest, they finally find Renfield's house and send a team of idiots who arrive to the place right in the open, without even trying to be less noticeable. And while they are coming up the stairs, Renfield eats a bunch of ants and begins to have fun with the corrupt police. And of course, they don't use any cover and shoot everywhere except for the targets.
How the fuck did you get this job?
And a simple police officer who was stopping cars for DWI check a few days ago now can fight almost as good as John Wick.
I noticed.
Meanwhile, Renfield tears guys' arms off, uses them as bats, and later as spears, and gives the creators of John Wick movies a couple of ideas that they can use in the next part. And by the way, why do human bones pierce through bulletproof vests?
Because fuck you.
Then, the main characters take the wanted police car again and go to have a breakfast, not giving a shit about the police department following them. And while Rebecca is preparing herself for a life sentence for killing her colleagues, Dracula upgrades Teddy to a half-vampire, and he immediately kills the head of the police department, and most importantly, spoils an expensive carpet.
That dude, whack job.
And after that, they close special vampire curtains, which for some reason are installed in the mafia's house, and bring Dracula himself.
It's fucking Dracula! It's the real fucking Dracula!
I'm pretty sure that's the actor Nick Cage.
And Dracula gives vampire powers to all the mafia guys. And firstly, they decide to get rid of Renfield and Rebecca. And when they could have found them using cameras like last time,
Boom! We did it! Now we can track his every move.
or GPS tracker in Rebecca's police car, they kidnap Rebecca's sister.
You've got your sister. She doesn't have much time.
And they actually gave their home address, instead of arranging the meeting somewhere where they can easily set up an ambush. And since Rebecca's brain got damaged by the bullets, she alone and with a bad shoulder decides to go against Mafia and a bunch of superhumans.
It's not just the Lobos, it's Dracula is with them.
But since Renfield doesn't want to save at least himself, he goes there as well. And somehow they manage to steal a car and the guns right from the police station, when both of them are wanted. Apparently, the entire police department is having a smoke break.
Is this for real?
And Rebecca thinks that one shotgun and one handgun is enough against dozens of gangsters on vampire steroids, when she should have taken rifles and grenades. And Renfield didn't even take any body armor. And I wonder, did they have enough brains to sneak into the building without being noticed?
Absolutely fucking not.
Of course, they simply used the main entrance as if it was a Walmart. But they're lucky that the vampire gangsters forgot their guns and brought only bats and axes. And because of that, the vampire gangsters quickly turned into dead men. Renfield also didn't take any gun, because it's against imbeciles' rules. But luckily, he can easily defeat several gangsters who are supposed to be as strong as him. And Rebecca, instead of helping her friend finish up the vampire gangsters, decided to go straight to the main mafia woman. But very untimely, Teddy shows up and begins shooting. And having realized that Teddy's shooting skills are as good as his mental abilities, Rebecca decides to fool him.
Afternoon, officer!
Shit. I'm out.
Think I need guns to fuck you up? Let's do this!
So Teddy gets a few extra holes in his body, and after that, Rebecca for some reason throws the loaded shotgun away and tries to go for the pistol. And because of that, Renfield has to go and save her life. And she again leaves her friend instead of shooting Teddy, because apparently she forgot that she needs Renfield to defeat Dracula.
You dumb bitch.
Alright, get the hell out of here.
And she's lucky, because she gets to meet Nicolas Cage himself, who happens to be in a good mood, and instead of killing Rebecca, he offers her a deal.
What I could do, Rebecca, with you by my side, and I can heal your sisters.
And while she's being shocked that she met with a person who spent a vacation in Alcatraz with Sean Connery, Renfield is still struggling with Teddy because he didn't think to eat some insects in advance. But in the last moment, he eats a Chinese snack and using Jackie Chan technique, clears Teddy's intestines from both sides. And again, without taking any weapon, barely alive, he goes to Dracula just to get his ass kicked.
He's lost his fucking mind.
But fortunately, Rebecca opens the curtain and Dracula learns a lesson that he shouldn't waste time giving a speech. But Dracula, using Batman's friends, escapes to a dark place, also killing Renfield. And once again, because he decided to show Rebecca how cool he is, being able to fly, she manages to shoot his foot, making an improvised blood transfusion which brings Renfield back to life. But he only tries to tear his fangs out, and of course fails.
You can't pick my teeth.
But then he remembers all of his meetings with the friends at Losers Club.
Stop being a whiny little shit. Grow a pair. You're a man, and a good one. Act like it.
And somehow becomes stronger than Dracula himself and kicks his ass. Meanwhile, Rebecca uses cocaine to make a protection circle, and Dracula, again like last time, doesn't notice it and gets himself caught.
You have eyes, so see.
And then the main characters finally do something smart and show us the correct way of defeating a very strong villain once and for all. They cut him into pieces, cook them in acid, add holy water, mix it in cement, and throw it into the sewer.
That's polluting.
Later, they also use Dracula's blood to bring all Renfield's friends back to life.
And thank you for using Dracula blood to bring us all back to life.
And since the entire police department of the city got transferred to the cemetery, there is nobody to arrest the main characters after they murdered dozens of people.
Oh, how convenient.
And if this movie hadn't failed in sales, I guess we would see a sequel in which Ninja Turtles or Pennywise find pieces of Dracula and assemble him like a puzzle.
Is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.